of Saudi Arabia lies at the furthermost part of southwestern Asia. It is bordered by the Arabian Gulf, UAE, and Qatar in the east, Red Sea in the west, Kuwait, Iraq, and Jordan in the north, and Yemen, Oman in the south. In 1925, funds were started to be introduced for 1/4, 1/2, and 1 Gulf, and since then until now, Saudi Riyal is the official currency of Saudi Arabia. Before this, the currency names as Kingdom of Hijaz. Sama replaced pilgrim receipt with banknotes of 5, 10, 50, and 100 Riyal in 1961, and Riyal was pegged to IMF Special Drawing Rights (SDR) in 1986. Later, in 2003, Riyal was officially pegged to US dollar at Saudi Arabia Riyal 3.75 per US dollar.
According to Mamta 1999, if the cost of tradable and their price fall, this will lead to an exchange rate depreciation. However, if technological process raise income and demand for non-tradables but causes a reduction in the relative price of tradables to non-tradables, real exchange rate will go up. According to Samuelson and Nordos 2005, changes in interest rate have an impact on the exchange rate of currency that in turn affects export, import, and foreign direct investment. Countries with higher interest rates lead to currency appreciation and vice versa. Kodri and Khan 2002 said that scholars argue that short-run consumer price inflation unresponsive to foreign exchange rate variations. The literature concerning exchange rate pass-through to inflation in Saudi Arabia is limited. However, Al-Kharif 2016 said in this regard revealed a weak response to the movement in exchange rate. According to Habib and Kalamova 2007, they find that there is no impact of the oil price on the real exchange rate of Saudi Arabia. There are 4 factors that influence Saudi Arabia exchange rates. First, gross domestic product, which is GDP, oil price, interest rate, and consumer price index, which is CPI.
Okay, next, behind me is the graph showing that exchange rate in Saudi Riyal against US dollar. In 1997 until 1999, the exchange rate increasing quite higher, which is from Saudi Riyal 3.7053 to Saudi Riyal 3.7508. Saudi Arabia was a key player in coordinating the successful campaign in 1999 of OPEC. In year 2000, the exchange rate Saudi Riyal against USD rapidly decreased. It has happened due to recession and global financial crisis. Saudi Arabia scaled back its oil production in response to market conditions. In 2001 until 2016, Saudi Riyal exchange rate remained constant at Saudi Riyal 3.7500 per USD in the spot market as the result of Sama's policy that aimed at maintaining the stability of the Saudi Riyal to serve the interests of the Saudi economy. Next is 2017 until 2019, Saudi Riyal against USD slightly decreased from Saudi Riyal 3.7500 to Saudi Riyal 0.37499, and then it increased at 2018 and remained constant at 2019.
Next, we go to another part, which is analysis on this study. The first one is descriptive analysis. This table represents on descriptive analysis, and it illustrates the descriptive analysis for all factor variables in this study. A variable has 23 sets of data which represent annual data for 23 years. Exchange rate is the value of Saudi Riyal for each US dollar on an average of 3.75 for every year. Next, the mean of gross domestic products is 25.030. Meanwhile, mean of interest rate is 3.29. The maximum and the minimum average of oil price is 109.45 and 12.28, while the average is 56.37. Furthermore, the mean of consumer price index is 1.826 across the 23
Correlation
years.
is a statistical relationship between two or more variables or data that measure the degree to which extent that relationship go. Positive correlation describes the relationship between those variables that change together, either increase or decrease. Meanwhile, negative correlation, also known as inverse correlation, describes the relationship between those variables which changes in opposite directions, also either increase or decrease. Next, we look at the correlation table. Firstly, gross domestic product have high negative relationship between interest rate and weak positive relationship between consumer price index CPI. Interest rate have high negative relationship between oil price and weak negative relationship between consumer price index. And lastly, there are two high positive relationship. Firstly, between gross domestic product GDP and oil price, and secondly, between oil price and consumer price index CPI.
For the regression analysis, we can see that the table provides R-square and adjusted R-square value. The R-square value of 0.378 indicates that 37.8% of the exchange rate is explained by oil price, GDP, which is gross domestic product, consumer price, CPI, and also interest rate. Next, the value of adjusted R-square is 0.240, which is that 24% of variation in exchange rate is likely to be explained by the oil price, gross domestic product, consumer price index, and interest rate. From the coefficients table, we can see that the gross domestic product, consumer price index, and oil price are not significant because the value is more than P value, which is 0.05. The interest rate is significant to exchange rate, which is the value is 0.039, lower than the P value 0.05. The regression equation is y equal to 3.750 plus 8.286 E minus 6 gross domestic product plus 5.340 E minus 5 interest rate minus 5.682 E minus 6 consumer price index minus 6.867 E minus 7 oil price.
Then, ANOVA. Based on the table, the model can be used to predict dysfunctional audit behavior because the results show a significant value, which are F value is equal to 2.739 while P value is bigger than 0.05. It can be concluded that there is a sufficient evidence to show that all independent variables exist with dependent variable.